Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to plunge into, wow, fascinating stories, complex ideas, and really pull out the wisdom you need. And today, we're taking a really deep dive into an ancient tale. It's centuries old, but honestly, it holds some surprisingly relevant lessons for right now. Lessons about loyalty, leadership, and, the power of things that seem really small. Our source, it's this incredible excerpt from an ancient Chinese text, sometimes called The Cost of a Meal. Loyalty and Ruin. It tells the story of events around this figure, the Lord of Zhongshan. So our mission today is to really unpack this captivating story. We'll try to strip away the centuries, and pull out some profound insights into human nature, power dynamics, and just how far the consequences of our choices can reach. Okay, so let's set the scene. Think ancient China. The Lord of Zhongshan, he's a powerful ruler, and he's hosting this magnificent banquet, a huge feast. But it's not just dinner, right? It's for his top scholars, his officials. It's all about building camaraderie, strengthening allegiance, really cementing his place. You can imagine the scene. Lots of talk, clinking cups, fancy food. Everything looks prosperous, orderly. Now, during this feast, they serve a special dish, lamb stew. Yangang, I think it's called. Rich, aromatic, but here's the twist. Not everyone gets some. And crucially, one of the people overlooked, is a really high official, a VIP named Sima Ziki.
Right. And to us, today, that might sound like, catering mistake, maybe we ran out. But in that specific cultural context, it was absolutely not trivial. For someone like Sima Ziki, his status, being denied this dish at his lord's own table, there was a huge public slight. It wasn't really about the stew itself. It was about his honor, his face, his rank being questioned right there in front of everyone, and it cut deep, made him furious, truly enraged.
And his reaction wasn't subtle. I mean, he didn't just grumble about it later. No, he was so profoundly insulted, so disrespected, he actually fled the state, just upped and left, abandoned his post, his lord, everything.
It's pretty extreme, isn't it?
It really is. But get this, the story doesn't stop there. It escalates massively. This official, Sima Ziki, he's scorned, he wants revenge, so he makes his way to the nearby kingdom of Chu, which was really powerful. And he convinces the king of Chu to attack Zhongshan. And the result, it's devastating. The Lord of Zhongshan loses his entire state. He's forced to flee, becomes a refugee.
It's astonishing when you really think about it. How such a seemingly minor thing, missing out on a bowl of stew at a party, could spiral into total catastrophe. It's a powerful lesson, right? But the huge, unpredictable ripple effects of disrespect, even perceived disrespect.
Yeah.
One small act, or an omission in this case, can set off this chain reaction with absolutely devastating consequences, changes history.
Wow, yeah, that really does make you stop and think. Okay, so the Lord of Zhongshan is now on the run, his state's in ruins, most of his allies, his officials, gone, abandoned him. But then something quite remarkable happens. Two men appear, they're carrying spears, and they just start following him, protecting him, it seems. So the Lord, understandably, is confused. He turns to them, and he asks them, the original text says, "Skuth," which basically means, who are you guys? Why are you following me?
And their answer is it's incredibly moving. They explain that their father was once starving, literally near death from hunger. And it was the Lord of Zhongshan himself, just passing by perhaps, who performed a simple act of kindness. He gave their father a pot of food, just some simple food, saved his life.
Wow, just like that.
Just like that. But it stuck with the father, deeply.
So deeply that before he died, he told his sons, "You vinan, monsieur."
Which means?
It means, if Zhongshan ever faces trouble, you must die for it. You must be willing to sacrifice your lives for the Lord.
Incredible.
And so here they were, in the Lord's absolute lowest moment, his time of dire need. They showed up, ready to fulfill that promise, ready to die for him.
What a contrast. I mean, think about it. Sima Ziki's betrayal over the stew versus this profound loyalty. What does that really tell us about what motivates people, what builds real allegiance?
It's a stark difference, isn't it? The cup of lamb stew versus the pot of food. One leads to betrayal and ruin, the other inspires the ultimate sacrifice. So all of this whiplash of events, leads the Lord of Zhongshan to this moment of deep reflection. The text says he sighs, looks up at the sky, just processing it all.
You can almost picture him, right? Trying to make sense of it.
And he has this first big realization. He says, "What the ho?" which translates roughly to giving or kindness. It doesn't depend on how much you give. It depends on when you give it specifically in a moment of dire need.
And that's such a powerful insight into, human psychology, isn't it? It's not about the price tag or the size of the gesture. The thing that gives an act immense value, the thing that creates these really strong, lasting bonds is the timing. The critical moment it arrives. Think about it if you're truly desperate, starving, lost, in danger, and someone offers even a little help. That timely aid, however small it seems, can feel absolutely life-changing. It gets etched into your memory, much more than some, grand gesture when things are already fine.
That makes so much sense. And he has a second realization too, right? Just as important. Yes, he says, ooh-ee, which means something like resentment or anger. It doesn't depend on how deep the offense actually is. It depends on its power to wound the heart.
Yes. This is so key for understanding how people react to things. Interpersonal dynamics 101, almost. An insult, or a slight, it might seem incredibly minor to an outsider, trivial even. But if it hits a nerve, if it touches someone's core identity, their status, their sense of self-worth, it can inflict a really deep emotional wound. It's like, that seemingly small comment in the meeting we talked about.
Right.
One person brushes it off. For someone else, it lands right on an insecurity about their value, their contribution, even if the speaker didn't mean it that way at all. The perceived impact can be way out of proportion to the actual words or action. Perception is everything here. Individual experience matters hugely.
So putting it all together, the Lord has this amazing concluding line. He says, the aldatu of Famanant churn I lost my state over a cup of lamb stew, but I gained 2 loyal men because of a pot of food. Just incredibly potent.
It really is. This whole story, this ancient narrative, it just gives us such a powerful framework for understanding, human motivation. Psychology of slights, the psychology of gratitude, and these, totally unexpected consequences of our actions. Those 2 incidents, the stew and the food pot, they just illustrate these universal truths so vividly, don't they? Truths that still hold up today.
Absolutely. And it really forces you to reconsider loyalty, what really builds it. When you compare Simaziki's reaction to the loyalty of those 2 men, what's the core difference there?
Well, it seems to suggest that real, deep loyalty often comes from genuine care, from timely support. Not necessarily from obligation or, expected patronage or big flashy gestures. It's that authentic human connection, offered right when it's most needed. That seems to forge the strongest bonds. And zooming out again, it just hammers home that point about subjective emotional impact. What rolls off one person's back can be a deep wound for another. Understanding that, having that empathy, that ability to see from another's perspective, it's just crucial. Whether you're leading a team, working in a complex organization, or honestly, just dealing with family and friends.
Yeah, absolutely crucial. So, okay, thinking about our listeners, what does this mean for you in our own lives day to day? Do we maybe not pay enough attention to the small kindnesses we could offer? Or maybe even more importantly, those minor slights we might inflict without even realizing it?
Exactly.
How could these things, these seemingly insignificant moments, be quietly shaping our personal worlds, our professional lives in ways we just don't see?
It's a sobering thought.
It really is. So to recap, from this one ancient story, we've pulled out some pretty timeless wisdom about how fragile power can be, how strong true loyalty is, and these hidden costs and rewards in just our everyday interactions. It's a story that feels just as relevant now as it must have thousands of years ago.
It definitely raises that big question, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How often do we just completely underestimate the power of one moment? A simple gesture, maybe a word spoken in haste, or even a perceived slight.
Yeah.
How easily can that fundamentally change the course of things? Not just in big historical narratives, but in our own lives, too.
So here's a final thought to leave you with as you go about your day. What lamb stews those potential slights or oversights, or what pots of food those opportunities for timely kindness might you encounter today, or maybe even be responsible for? And what unexpected, far-reaching ripples might they create in your world? Something to think about.